Hey everybody, I'm Jason and welcome back to From Tree to Lumber, a YouTube channel about a guy and his adventures with a sawmill. The weather's been kind of crappy lately, so I've been forced to spend some time in the shop. I recently found this seized up Rockwell Beaver jointer on Marketplace, and today seems like a good day to try to get it running. The seller was pretty upfront about the motor not being able to turn the blades. He hadn't had it looked at yet, so I was sort of taking my chances that it was easily repairable. I have a small collection of electric motors downstairs, so the worst case scenario was pretty much covered. The price was fair both ways, so I brought it home. My original guess was that it had a fried capacitor, but it turns out that this motor doesn't actually use one. But listen to what I get when I hand turn the motor. Thankfully, the blade bearings are still nice and smooth, which is something I was kind of worried about. Fixing that horrible squeaking actually turned out to be pretty easy. I'm pretty sure, though, that that rubbing cooling fan really wasn't enough to stall the motor. And the bearing seems to be in good shape, so I'm not at all sure what's going on here. It's time to give it some power again and see if it will spin up without the load of the blades on it. That actually sounds like a pretty healthy motor, so there must be something else going on here. After I played around with it for a while, sure enough, when the motor is pulled up all the way, the pulley is rubbing on the cast iron. I'll just try to slide it out a bit and hope that that's all it needs. So I got that straightened out, returned the machine back to level, put the belt back on, and allowed gravity to auto-tension everything. The result is... problem solved. Just like that. The next concern was the condition of the cutting blades. It's common for these old machines to have been used pretty hard, and it doesn't seem like anybody likes to sharpen them anymore. Replacements are readily available and really aren't that expensive, but changing them is a bit of an art. It takes some real patience. Looks like I lucked out here too. Either these blades are fairly new or they've been replaced recently. There's a few little marks on them, but they're certainly salvageable. I have to step out for a bit this afternoon, so I can't really get to the blades right now. But before I go out, I want to put something on the beds to soak into the little bit of rust that has developed on them over the years. To do that, I'm going to put a layer of paper towels down and then soak them in 10% cleaning vinegar before sealing the whole thing under some plastic wrap, just to hold it all tight and it doesn't evaporate off. I might not get it all, but it'll certainly make things easier after a couple of hours. Well, it's pretty clear that something's happened in the time I was gone. I'm not really a big fan of taking a sander to these machine surfaces, so I'm just going to scrape it off with this cheap putty knife. As long as I'm careful, it won't damage the surface in the slightest. So bit by bit, the rust peels away almost effortlessly. Once an area is cleared, I spray it down with diluted Dawn dish soap and I wipe it down with a rag. There's a few areas that need a bit more attention, but they'll give way eventually, and the beds are finally nice and flat again. The next step is just a gentle rub with some Barkeeper's Friend and a Scotch-Brite pad. This leaves the machine surface looking fresh, although there is always going to be some staining where the rust had pitted into the cast iron. And then the last step is to apply a very thin coat of rust inhibitor. This will leave the metal feeling kind of waxy, which is going to be really appreciated when I start sliding wood over it. You really don't want to put too much on so it's oily, because then the sawdust will stick into it. Okay, now it's time to look at these blades a little bit closer. I'm going to take them out and give them a good cleaning and proper inspection before I reset them. As I mentioned earlier, there are a few rough spots, but there are 3 blades on this jointer, and I think I can offset them enough so that the chips in the blades won't come through onto the wood's finished surface. They're kind of designed that way. I'm going to use a couple pieces of tool stock with some rare earth magnets to set the height of the cutters. The magnets will hold the blades at the correct height while they get tightened down, which is kind of what makes this job so finicky. The green tape is on the infeed side of the table and is just there to protect the bed when I give the blades a quick diamond hone once I've got them installed. You'll also notice that I use a sheet of paper to set the cutting edge very slightly above the surface of the outfeed table. I would prefer the blades to leave just a tiny bit of snipe when the pass is completed. It's such a small amount that you can't actually see it, but it ensures that the cut will end up being flat. Some folks might not like this, but it seems to work for me, so that's how I do it. Once the blade is tightened down, I pass a 600 grit fine diamond hone over the edge, followed by a very fine 1200 grit hone. It's just enough to give these blades a razor sharp edge. You can do this 2 or 3 times before having to reset the blade height, and that's just another advantage of using that paper spacer. After a couple of passes, the cutter head setup proves to be right on the money. A straight edge sits perfectly on the freshly cut edge with no gaps anywhere. Knowing that the blades are in correctly, it's just a matter of returning the safety guard and putting the machine back into commission. In the end, I think I got a pretty good machine here. It's a really nice size for my shop, and it's going to be a great addition to my sawmill hobby. And that's all I've got for today. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like this stuff, please subscribe.